Starseed of Gaia, your vessel is being recalibrated at a cellular level at this exact moment. I am Anya, emissary of the Galactic Federation of Light, and I bring you a direct transmission from the Arcturian Council. If you enjoy videos like this, consider subscribing. Most people who watch are not subscribed yet. Starseed, you have been trying to measure your progress with the wrong instruments. You look for proof in your mood, your money, your relationships, your physical energy, your external results. Yet the deepest shift rarely announces itself through comfort. The deepest shift announces itself through pattern interruption. You pause where you once reacted. You breathe where you once braced. You soften where you once armored. You feel where you once escaped. And even if your life still looks unfinished, your frequency is already reorganizing the architecture underneath it. We have been watching your collective unfold with tenderness and with certainty because we can sense what you often cannot feel from inside the moment. Your nervous systems are learning safety, your defenses are losing their grip, and your natural state is returning. That natural state is not struggle. It is not constant scanning for what might go wrong. Your natural state is coherence, the state in which your heart, breath, mind, and body stop pulling against each other. Many voices on Earth speak about light body activation, DNA awakening, Merkaba geometry, luminous ascension, rainbow embodiment, higher contact preparation. We are not here to argue terminology. We are here to transmit a pathway you can practice daily, simple enough to live, deep enough to carry you across threshold after threshold. We will speak it in 5 movements, yet you will experience them as one spiral, one breathing organism. And when you step into this spiral, you will discover something that changes everything. The light body is not achieved as a trophy. It is revealed as what you have always been, and the moment you stop forcing it, you begin receiving it. Coherence is the foundation because coherence is stability under charge. As the Arcturians transmit, you do not ascend by escaping density. You ascend by turning density into wisdom and wisdom into love in motion. That alchemy requires a nervous system that is not constantly signaling danger. When the body perceives threat, it tightens, narrows attention, and reduces the bandwidth through which subtle guidance can flow. This is why so many starseeds feel blocked. Not because you are broken, but because you are bracing. Your society trained you to live in your head, consuming streams of information, comparing yourself to curated realities, predicting outcomes, rehearsing arguments with the future. But the soul does not activate through bracing. It activates through allowing. Coherence is what happens when your heart rhythm becomes orderly, your breath becomes rhythmic, your mind becomes quieter, and your body receives the message. The present moment is safe enough to inhabit. Inner peace is not a moral demand. It is a law of resonance. Peace is the signature of a being who remembers itself as eternal, not as an idea, but as a felt truth in the cells. And peace is trainable. You can teach the body that safety is internal. You can teach the breath to become a bridge rather than a reaction. You can teach the nervous system that the world does not need to be solved before breakfast. Here is the practical doorway. Breath coherence. Inhale gently through the nose, slow and unforced. Exhale slower than the inhale. Let the exhale tell your body. There is no immediate threat. Place attention softly in the center of the chest. Do not demand fireworks. Do not chase visions. Just become consistent. In minutes, the inner weather changes. The shoulders drop. The jaw loosens. The eyes soften. This is not imagination. This is physiology responding to rhythm. Many of you say, "But my mind won't stop." The Arcturians transmit. The mind stops when it no longer has to protect you. If you have lived in chronic vigilance, your mind believes it must scan constantly to keep you safe. Coherence is how you retrain that contract. Each time you breathe gently, you are negotiating a new agreement with your nervous system. I can be here and still be safe. Cliffhanger. And the moment your body begins to trust the present, an entirely different kind of intelligence starts to come online, an intelligence that does not speak in arguments, but in resonance. Coherence also changes your relationship to the collective. When you are coherent, you are less easily pulled by the emotional weather of the planet. You can witness intense information without being hijacked. You can feel empathy without collapsing into despair. You can participate without losing yourself. This is not detachment, it is sovereignty. And sovereignty is not isolation, it is a stable signal. Complex systems entrain to stable oscillators. That is why one calm person in a chaotic room can change the atmosphere without saying a word. Your coherence is not only personal healing, it is planetary medicine. When enough beings stabilize, reactive narratives lose momentum. Extreme timelines weaken. New possibilities become viable because they finally have a field that can hold them. Let your day begin with a breath that is not rushed. Let your body receive the message, it is safe to be here. Let your mind learn it is not required to solve the universe before breakfast. Place attention in the heart center and notice what changes. Even 5 minutes of coherence is a shift in timeline. Because when coherence becomes familiar, something else happens. The mind loosens its grip, the heart begins to speak louder, and the next movement becomes inevitable. Cliffhanger. And when the heart becomes your listening center, you will realize you were never alone inside linear time, because a larger you has been trying to reach you all along. Many humans were trained to treat the heart as emotion and the mind as truth. This misunderstanding shaped education systems, workplaces, and relationships across your planet. Yet, as the Arcturians transmit, the heart is not a sentimental accessory. It is the command center of alignment. The heart recognizes resonance. The heart reveals what is loud versus what is true. The heart is where your higher intelligence translates itself into signals your human self can follow. Heart descent is not a concept, it is a daily ritual. Put down the device, close the eyes. Feel the body from within. Let attention move from the forehead down into the chest. You do not need drama, you need sincerity. As you do this, you will notice immediate shifts. The breath deepens, the shoulders soften, the inner atmosphere quiets. You have moved from scanning to receiving. You have moved from control to coherence. The heart speaks in simple signals: expansion, contraction, warmth, tightness, ease, resistance, a subtle yes, a quiet not yet. Many of you have felt these signals for years and dismissed them because they did not come with proof. The Arcturians transmit. The proof is in the outcome. When you follow the heart, you often arrive at the right place without being able to explain how. When you ignore it, you often arrive in heaviness, even if it looked logical on paper. But there is a deeper layer. When coherence stabilizes and heart descent becomes consistent, you gain access to what you may call the oversoul network. You are not one isolated identity moving alone through linear time. You are an expression of a larger consciousness exploring itself through multiple incarnations, timelines, and realities simultaneously. These aspects are not over. They are active. They are learning, creating, evolving, and they are meant to share intelligence. Access does not open through effort. It opens through coherence. When you are agitated, the signal-to-noise ratio is distorted. It is like trying to tune a delicate frequency inside static. But when your heart, rhythm, breath, and awareness align, the static drops and the signal strengthens. This is why sudden insights arrive during calm rather than stress. You are not making it up. You are receiving. You may receive as vivid dreams. You may receive as daydreams that carry emotional weight. You may receive as a decision that feels obvious without justification. You may receive as a sudden identity shift, realizing an old fear no longer belongs to you. These are moments of cross-connection where another aspect of you shares what it has learned, and you share what you are learning in return. Cliffhanger. And once you begin sensing this network, you will notice something even more surprising. Your perception of time starts to loosen, and the future becomes less like a corridor and more like a field. Heart descent also reorganizes how you relate to reality itself. When you live in the mind alone, perception becomes linear. Cause follows effect. Time feels like pressure. Decisions feel terrifying because you believe there is one correct future and many wrong ones. But the heart perceives in fields. The heart senses trajectories. You begin to feel that the future is not fixed. It is a living range of probabilities responding to your state in the present moment. This is why the heart's guidance is quieter than mental urgency. The heart does not shout because it does not compete. It simply reveals alignment and allows you to choose. And this restores free will. When you are trapped in the mind, you are compelled by fear, conditioning, and pressure. When you are in the heart, you are invited. An invitation can be accepted or declined without punishment. There is also an energetic architecture here. The heart harmonizes your subtle bodies, physical, emotional, mental, and higher light structures. When the heart leads, the aura becomes smoother. The emotional field stabilizes. The mind quiets. The higher light body finds a welcoming geometry to anchor. The incoming light is not too much. The receiving field becomes coherent enough to hold it. In relationships, heart descent reduces entanglement. You perceive others beyond behavior into state. You can hold boundaries without hardening. You can offer compassion without fusion. This is essential for light body stability because the light body is coherent and self-contained. It does not require you to become fragile. It teaches you to become clear. And now, as the heart becomes home, what remains unaligned becomes visible. Old residues rise, outdated identities loosen, suppressed emotion surfaces, not as punishment, but as readiness. Cliffhanger. Because when the heart reveals what no longer fits, the next movement begins automatically. Purification, the release that makes receptivity possible. The ebook, The 12 Arcturian Portals, a trilogy that teaches you how to activate your 5D connection with the Arcturian masters through 12 energetic portals, practical techniques, activation protocols, and rituals that awaken your stellar DNA, from amplified intuition to direct communication with spiritual guides. Attention! Limited edition. The link to get your trilogy is in the first pinned comment. On your world, many spiritual systems taught that pain is necessary for growth. Some believed suffering makes you worthy, that struggle earns awakening, that ascension must be paid for through hardship. The Arcturians transmit gently. You are moving beyond that template. Growth does not require trauma. Expansion does not require catastrophe. You have extracted wisdom from difficulty for lifetimes, and you became skilled at it. But you are now entering a collective maturity where you can choose growth through presence, through love, through creative exploration, through joy. Purification is not forcing more pain. It is completing what is already accumulated. It is releasing residue, fear, resentment, shame, self-attack, inherited emotional patterns, so your frequency stops leaking through tension. Many of you can feel the completion cycle, relationships being examined, old roles dissolving, outdated identities losing grip, personal timelines collapsing. This is not failure, it is readiness. Purification often begins with one honest recognition. This does not feel aligned anymore. The heart reveals it quietly. Then the mind arrives with arguments. What if I regret it? What if I disappoint someone? What if I'm wrong? The body responds with fatigue, tightness, or discomfort. And many stop there because discomfort was conditioned into you as danger. But discomfort is often the body saying, there is truth here that wants attention. When you listen without drama, the body softens. When you ignore it, it intensifies. Some of you experience physical sensations without obvious explanation. Consider, without fear, that physical sensation often reflects emotional energy that was suppressed. This is not blame, it is empowerment. If the body is speaking, the body can be listened to. The practice is simple and profound. Breathe, place gentle attention on the area of discomfort, and ask, what emotion is here? Do not demand an answer. Allow one. Then feel the emotion without storytelling. Feelings are energy. They move when allowed. They stagnate when judged. When an emotion completes its cycle, it does not need to become chronic. You do not need to build identity around it. You simply let it move. Cliffhanger. And the moment you stop fighting your emotions, you will discover something shocking. Your fear was never protecting you the way you thought it was. Many starseeds use symbolic purification technologies. The violet flame is one of them. Whether you treat it as energetic reality or psychological archetype, it works through the same principle. It gives the mind a constructive image while the body releases. Imagine violet light surrounding you, passing through your centers, dissolving residue, returning you to neutrality, then openness. Speak simple decrees. I release what is not mine. I complete what is ready to complete. I forgive myself for being human. Forgiveness is not a moral performance. It is a frequency that unhooks you from old identity contracts. Purification also requires compassion. Compassion is the energy that lets truth be seen without punishment. Without compassion, you defend against your own feelings. You try to be high vibration as a mask. But the light body does not flourish on denial. It flourishes on honesty held gently. The Arcturians transmit. Your system integrates higher charge when it feels safe to be real. If this message resonated with you, hit the like button now and tell us in the comments how this echoed in your consciousness. As purification deepens, your relationship to fear changes. Fear may still appear, but it no longer owns you. Sadness may arise, but it no longer defines you. Anger becomes information rather than identity. This is what it means to become lighter. Density moves through you rather than setting up residence. Now the channel clears. And with clarity, something else becomes available: receptivity. Not passive drifting, but active openness, the ability to receive upgrades without scattering. Cliffhanger. Because when you become receptive, you will realize you have been receiving all along, yet your nervous system did not have the stability to hold what was already knocking. If this message ignited something within you and you feel the call to help carry it to others, you may become a channel member. As a member, you gain access to custom emojis and exclusive members-only videos, and your donation helps us continue building this sacred space. You may also choose to leave your offering as a super thanks. Every seed planted here becomes part of someone else's miracle. Your support is not merely financial, but an act of energetic amplification. All donations are devoted entirely to the maintenance of the channel and the creation of new transmissions and videos. Receptivity is not weakness. It is trained openness. The Arcturians transmit that you are assisted in real time, sometimes through celestial rhythms, sometimes through solar transmissions, sometimes through Earth's own field intelligence, sometimes through collective intention from beings invested in your awakening. The delivery mechanism is always the same: your openness and your grounding. Many of you feel incoming waves as fatigue, tingling, vivid dreams, emotional clearing, sudden insight, or the desire to simplify. None of this needs to be feared. Often, it is the body reorganizing so it can carry more light. The key is not to dramatize the sensation. The key is to translate it into integration. Some lineages speak of breath and visualization. Others use gentle touch points in the body to invite higher frequency into the nervous system. Some use tones and sound to entrain the brain into receptive states while awareness remains present. Even certain scientific explorations observed that when brain hemispheres synchronize and the body enters deep relaxation, perception becomes wider, and the subconscious becomes more receptive to change. We mention this not to glorify any institution, but to build a bridge. Your science is catching up to what your mystics have always practiced. Coherence changes perception. Altered states can be trained safely when grounded. Here is the Arcturian stabilization circuit. Simple, repeatable, daily. Earth, heart, sky alignment. Inhale as if receiving from above into the heart. Exhale as if sending that energy down into earth. This creates a circuit that stabilizes what you receive. It prevents spaciness, fixation on phenomena, and energetic scattering. It turns downloads into embodied wisdom. It turns insight into lived change. Cliffhanger. And when you ground what you receive, you will notice a new kind of synchronicity, messages arriving at the exact moment you need them, as if reality itself is responding to your coherence. Reception also happens in sleep. Your dream state is not less real, it is simply a different mode. In dreams, the logical filters relax and oversoul connections become more accessible. You may meet aspects of yourself across timelines. You may experience contact you cannot translate into words. You may awaken with a feeling rather than a memory. That feeling may be the transmission. Do not dismiss the subtle. Do not demand fireworks. Let the gentle be sufficient. Repatterning follows reception naturally. You may find yourself drawn away from certain foods, media, conversations, or environments. This is not judgment. It is resonance. Your body moves toward what supports coherence and away from what disrupts it. Let this be gentle. Do not create rigid spiritual rules that punish you. Instead, listen. What expands you? What contracts you? Let your choices become acts of self-respect. Are these truths expanding your perspective? Share this video with someone who needs to hear this. When reception matures, you become less obsessed with doing everything right. Practices simplify. You may meditate differently. You may stop chasing techniques. This is not regression. It is relational integration. You are no longer trying to force receptivity. You are becoming available. Cliffhanger. And as availability becomes your default, you will begin to read energy in a new way, not as good or bad, but as information with a purpose. In the early phases of awakening, many starseeds relate to energy in a binary way: high vibration versus low vibration, supportive versus disruptive, pleasant versus unpleasant. That can help you develop discernment. But as the Arcturians transmit, a refined being evolves beyond binaries into frequency literacy, the ability to sense not only how energy feels, but what it is doing. Some incoming frequencies feel gentle because they reinforce stability. Others feel intense because they are reorganizing structures that can no longer support your expansion. If comfort is your only metric, you may resist precisely the frequency that is most catalytic. If intensity becomes your addiction, you may overwhelm yourself unnecessarily. Frequency literacy is the middle path: curiosity, pacing, collaboration. Ask different questions. What layer is this energy touching? Memory, creativity, perception, compassion, identity. Is it loosening an outdated contract or amplifying a dormant capacity? Is it asking me to rest, to speak, to ground, to release, to create? Curiosity dissolves bracing. It also dissolves superstition. You stop interpreting every sensation as a warning or a prophecy. You begin to observe patterns. You notice that certain frequencies amplify intuition. Others amplify emotional release. Others awaken creativity. Others strengthen boundaries. Others soften time perception. You become literate not through symbols, but through lived experience. This literacy changes your pacing. You learn when to simplify input and when to expand. You learn when to open upward and when to anchor downward. You learn when to socialize and when to retreat. This is not control. It is collaboration with a living system. The light body is not a machine being installed. It is an architecture co-evolving with your choices. Cliffhanger. And as you become fluent in frequency, you will notice something extraordinary. Energetic influx stops feeling like something that happens to you and starts feeling like something you can integrate gracefully. Many of you, especially sensitive starseeds, were designed to feel subtle shifts before they become visible events. Sensitivity without coherence becomes anxiety. Sensitivity with coherence becomes wisdom. Frequency literacy is what transforms sensitivity into guidance. You can sense which direction the collective is moving and choose where to place your attention. You can feel when a timeline is losing viability and withdraw your energy from it. You can feel when a new pattern is forming and nourish it. This also transforms service. When you stop being reactive, you stop feeding timelines you do not want. Fear-based input destabilizes coherence and pulls you into realities you do not wish to energize. You become far more effective when you are informed but not hijacked, compassionate but not overwhelmed, aware but not agitated. Subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications to be part of this transformational cosmic journey. At this stage, you may notice practices simplifying. You may stop hunting for the perfect method. You may realize the method was always coherence, heart descent, honesty, receptivity, and embodied action. And then another maturation arrives, one that is subtle but life-changing. The softening of time. Cliffhanger. Because when time begins to soften, you will realize you have been living under invisible pressure, and you are now being released from it. One of the most profound effects of light body anchoring is its influence on your experience of time. The Arcturians transmit. As coherence integrates, consciousness becomes less bound to rigid linear sequencing. You do not leave time behind, but you stop experiencing time as a punishment. This is temporal softening. You may notice time stretching or compressing. Days pass quickly, while certain moments feel vast. Memories surface out of order. The future loses its grip. Old regrets loosen, not because you are avoiding responsibility, but because you are less identified with a single storyline. You begin to sense that multiple versions of you exist across time, all contributing to oversoul learning. This naturally reduces the fear of getting it wrong. In rigid time, you are always behind or ahead. You feel rushed. You feel late. You feel there is never enough. In softened time, presence becomes primary. You begin to sense timing rather than urgency. You feel when to act and when to wait, not because a clock told you, but because alignment told you. In a world structured around deadlines, this can confuse the mind. You may fear you are becoming unproductive. The Arcturians transmit, you are becoming temporally intelligent. Temporal softening also reduces resistance to incoming energy. Much resistance is the belief, this is happening too fast, I can't keep up. When time becomes fluid, that narrative dissolves. You realize, nothing arrives too early. Nothing arrives too late. Everything arrives when the field can hold it. Acceleration stops feeling like threat and starts feeling like momentum. And when you stop being threatened by time, you stop being threatened by change, because change no longer feels like something chasing you. There is also a creative benefit. When time softens, imagination becomes more potent. You are less constrained by what has already happened or what is expected to happen. Futures feel reachable, not as distant goals but as nearby resonances. This is not fantasy. It is perception operating beyond linear sequencing. You begin to sense probability fields. You begin to choose trajectories. Synchronicity increases as well. Not because reality is rewarding you, but because you stop working against the current. Opportunities arrive with less friction. Information appears when needed. People show up at the right moment. This is not coincidence. It is alignment, creating efficient reflection. Temporal softening also changes how you recover. Rest becomes more nourishing. Silence becomes more intelligent. You stop needing constant stimulation. You start recognizing rhythm, expansion, integration, pause, action, rest. The light body integrates through rhythm, not through pressure. At this point, many starseeds realize that the entire path has been preparing one thing: embodiment. Not mystical performance, but lived frequency. The kind of presence that changes rooms, relationships, communities, without force. Cliffhanger. Because the moment you embody coherence in ordinary life, you become a stabilizer for the collective, and that is the real mission. Many of you have asked, why am I here? You look at Earth, conflict, confusion, outdated systems, and you wonder if you are meant to fix everything. You are not. The Arcturians transmit, you are meant to be the frequency that makes new systems possible. You are meant to be the human who can hold more love without collapsing, more truth without fragmenting, more complexity without losing center. Your light body is not a ticket out of Earth. It is a way of being on Earth with more grace, more clarity, more compassion, and more creative power. You came here for themes: courage, patience, integrity, forgiveness, creativity, joy. Do not bypass those themes in the name of Ascension. Ascension is the elevation of how you meet your themes. It is not the abandonment of them. Service becomes simple when the heart leads. Sometimes service is meditation and sending coherent intention into the collective field. Sometimes it is a conversation where you listen without fixing. Sometimes it is a boundary that protects your energy so your kindness remains real instead of resentful. Sometimes it is a creative act, writing, building, designing, teaching, that carries higher resonance into culture. Sometimes it is participating in new structures, ethical communities, healthier nervous system education, transparent leadership, sustainable systems that honor both Earth and human dignity. You do not need to do all of it. You only need to do what you are guided to do. Guidance will come from the heart you have learned to live inside. And this is crucial. You are not here to drag everyone into the same timeline. Everyone has their timing. Some awaken through softness, some through contrast, some later. Some exit and return in another incarnation. None of that is failure. Your job is to follow your heart and embody the timeline you prefer. When you do, you become an invitation, a lighthouse, proof that peace is possible. Cliffhanger. And when you stop trying to save others, you will discover you help them more, because your coherence becomes permission for their nervous system to exhale. Joy is part of service. If you serve from heaviness, you create more heaviness. If you serve from coherence, you create coherence. Enjoying simple things, sunlight, a warm drink, laughter, the quiet intelligence of nature, is not selfish. It is tuning your instrument. A tuned instrument plays a clearer note. A clearer note entrains the room. Compassion must be grounded. Compassion is not collapsing into suffering. It is staying present with intensity while remaining connected to your center. This kind of compassion produces appropriate action. Sometimes it means helping. Sometimes stepping back. Sometimes offering resources. Sometimes silence. Sometimes no. The light body does not make you a doormat. It makes you clear. Now remember, these 5 movements are not steps you complete once. They are a spiral you revisit. Coherence returns you to peace. Heart descent returns you to guidance. Purification clears the channel. Reception and repatterning stabilize upgrades. Embodiment expresses frequency through lived action. And then you begin again, higher on the spiral, softer, wiser, stronger, more awake. Here is the simplest practice that contains the entire transmission. Breathe gently until the body relaxes. Place awareness in the heart. Allow any emotion to be felt without story. Open the circuit sky to heart and heart to earth. Then choose one small action that matches the frequency you cultivated. That is light body activation as a lived path. If this message impacted your life, leave your like, comment your reflection, and share with others. Each of you is part of this chain of light.